Hello YouTube, what's going on today? And welcome back to the world of technology. Today we're going to have a computer showcase video for today and an upgrade in the same video. So this is the Gateway 310S that I picked up a while back from one of my aunts, and for $0.00, actually she didn't charge me for it. She bought a new Acer all-in-one. It works great. This computer here is an old Gateway 310S. So today what we're going to do is completely reloading the system, but we are going to be keeping the retro look. So we have all kinds of components that I'll show after, but first let's get inside this computer. Okay guys, so I have laid the computer on its side now, and we're going to take a look at these old components. This computer is from around 2001 to 2002. She got it when I was born, so that was 2002. Okay, so our first thing that you're going to notice is this really awkward looking heatsink. This is not the original board. I replaced the board a while back because the other board decided to die on me. When I say board, I'm referring to the motherboard. This heatsink is the only one that I had that would fit on it. So it doesn't have a fan on it or anything. This is a Sony Vail board. You can see right there it says Vail. I got this out of a dump computer that I found, and I decided to keep it because I figured I might need it for a backup like this. But now that this board has decided to die on me as well, because it's older than this Gateway itself, I'm going to replace it with not a brand new board, but a more modern system. So that's the board. We're rocking 2 GB of DDR1 RAM, no PCI 16 lanes. We have an old modem card there. They're all PCI lanes, not express lanes or anything like that. And we have one exhaust fan. Actually, I do believe I switched that fan around to intake so that it takes in and not blow out as an exhaust. And up here we have a 250 watt power supply by B-Stack. Right there is all the specs. And we have just the old-fashioned 50-pin DVD drive up top. It is a DVD-ROM drive. Nothing special there. You have all the old IDE cables, of course, for an old computer like this. And this is the power button I have. This is the Sony Vail power button that it had. And as you can see, it doesn't reach the front of the Gateway case. So that was our first problem we ran into. If I ever wanted to boot it up, I'd have to hang the cable out like this. So that's another reason we're putting a new board in, because this cable here is going to be for the new board. It runs greatly out to the front and it works perfectly. So up top we have a 80 GB IDE hard drive. I believe it runs at 7200 RPM, just like the stock versions. And of course Molex power. We have a 20-pin motherboard connection right there. So that tells you that this board is very old. We have, we have 2 IDE hard drive or DVD drive connectors on the motherboard. And this is for your floppy drive, which we actually are going to be installing on this case just to keep the retro look, because for some reason it doesn't have a floppy drive. So it has this regular CPU power. This board does have integrated graphics, so I'm not going to be installing a graphics card in this. It's just going to be a low power machine. It's not going to be like a gaming rig. It's just going to be low power. So that brings us to the components that we are going to be fitting inside. It's a pretty stock case, guys. I'll lean it back up again so you guys can get another look. This is the Gateway 310S, and it is, of course, designed for Windows XP. It has originally an Intel Celeron inside, but right now it has an Intel Pentium 4 inside. Pretty slow compared to. And this is the rear. We have 2 mouse and keyboard PS2 spots, USB 1.0 on this board, of course the Ethernet cable, VGA, serial port, that's going to be gone. This other strange port right here, you have your speakers, microphone, and this other one, and that is Firewire, I do believe. So that's what we're going to be doing, guys. The fan is right here. Power supply, of course, is a fan on it, so we're going to keep the power supply, as a matter of fact, because it's going to be good enough. I have a couple of Molex to SATA adapters for that. So let's get some specs right here, actually. Oh, I take that back. It's a Gateway 310S. So this is the slim version of the Gateway 310. 2004. It's not 2002. My bad. Alright, so let's get to the parts that we're going to be installing. So guys, for the parts that we'll be installing, this, of course, the main component, the motherboard, is a Intel LGA1150 socket motherboard, and it features a 24-pin motherboard connector. It can have up to 8 gigs of RAM, which is what we will be installing, and has one PCI 16 express lane, and of course the PCI plain lane. So that's what we have here. It actually still has IDE connectors, even though it's a more modern motherboard. Just to let you guys know, this is a DDR2 motherboard, so we have that. It has only two USB headers for the front panel, an audio header, and that. Not sure what that is. This is where you put the power button shorter and all that good stuff. We have 4 SATA ports, SATA connectors, I should say. We have the CPU fan connector, 1 fan header there for the case, which is, oh wait, there's another case fan there, I never realized that. So what we have for RAM is 4 2GB cards. The blue ones are by Nanya, and you can see that right there, 2GB, and the green ones are Crucial. So we have 4 2GB cards for this motherboard. Also, we have a problem. My backplate for the motherboard that holds the heatsink on is busted, so it takes a long process to screw each one of them on. So I'll stop the camera and have to do that. Next we have the two adapters that we'll be using to power the hard drive and the DVD drive we're going to be putting in. Speaking of the DVD drive, just nothing special, just a regular DVD-ROM drive, just for excellent connectivity, because even though we do have IDE ports, I'm going to hook up that other old hard disk drive just for the heck of it, to keep the retro, but this is going inside. Move that out of the way. Then we have this Maxtor 200GB SATA hard drive. This is a good hard drive. It's got a few games on it from Steam, and it runs at 7200 RPM, I do believe. I can't seem to find where it is right now, but it does. I believe it is 7200, running at 1.5 GB a second. It's a not bad hard drive. So then we're going to also install, this might surprise you guys, but we are going to install a floppy drive, and I don't think we'll be able to connect it, but we're just going to put it on just for the retro look. I'm going to keep this case in disguise, as this is not the best gaming setup that we're going to be doing, but it's going to work. So we have just this stock Dell heatsink cooler I had laying around in my room. Ooh, that's pretty dirty, that needs to be cleaned. So this is going to be going on there as well. And also for the tools we have 3 screwdrivers. We have a magnetic screwdriver here. This is a 4-in-1. You have 1 small Phillips head, 1 large on the other end, and this whole silver part pops out like that. And on that end we have 1 small straight and 1 large one. Same with this one, just it's a smaller version. I'm not going to go over that. So that does it, guys, for the components that we're going to be installed. I'm going to put the camera on the tripod, and let's get started with the tearing apart of the gateway. Okay guys, so we're here with the gateway. The first thing we're going to be taking out is the heatsink, processor, and then the fan, and then the motherboard will come out, because we cannot get the motherboard out unless we take off that fan. So let's get started. The only thing we need to do actually first is unhook all the cables. So we can rip out these ribbon cables, won't be needing those. I'm going to keep most of these components, just in case I ever end up with another old PC. We're just going to pop out the RAM, just so I can show you guys what it is. Oh, there goes that. So we have a 1GB card here, DDR, single-sided, and I just dropped the other stick. This is another one. This is a ULT 31662 GB PC 2700 DDR 333 MHz RAM. So that's our old RAM for this build. And now we're just going to disconnect the motherboard connector, disconnect the fan. So the first thing we're going to be taking out is that heatsink. So all there is right here, and on the other side is just a simple clip. Comes out just like that. Heatsink's already done. It's a very awkward looking heatsink. I've never really seen one like it until I got this computer. So that's an LGA 448 socket that needs to come out. So that's actually, I do believe it's a PGA, pin grid array, not LGA. So put that arm up just like an LGA socket, and poof. This is a Intel Pentium 4 processor. Pretty darn old processor. It works, but it's not good for what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to put this over here, top of my speaker, so that it doesn't get damaged. I'm going to lower the arm back down, and the next thing we need to do is move this rear case fan. So I'm going to do that real quick. That's just going to take a while, so I'm going to stop the camera and I will bring you guys back once that fan is off. Okay guys, so we got the case fan off. I believe this is one of the fans that I installed. I don't even think this computer had a case fan until I installed it. So it was running pretty hot on the inside. So this is the fan. We're going to put it back on once we get everything out. And then, well, we're going to go from here. So I'm going to put that to the side on top of the heatsink, I guess. We don't really have that much room over here. So now what we need to do is remove that HDD. So this is just a simple, I have a screw in right here. It's not proper sitting in there, but we're just going to unscrew. There's a screw right. Let me zoom in. So you can see there's a screw right here that I'm trying to remove. It should be pretty simple. It's just an HDD screw. So that screws out. Now that hard drive should be able to pull right out of there. Let me zoom back out. Okay, so there. We are back at the computer. And look at that, the hard drive just going to pull straight out just like that. And apparently I left a sticky note on there that says boot to XP. So this is a 80 GB, 7200 RPM hard drive. I'm just going to leave that boot to XP sticker on there. Put this to the side. Okay, so next step is we're going to be taking out the, we're going to leave a DVD drive in there. We're not going to touch that. That's just going to stay there. I'm going to be taking out the motherboard. First, to rip out the power button. Put that to the side. Actually, we're going to take out this modem card. So modem cards, most of you PC enthusiasts or pros know that you just unscrew the screw that normally be like right here on the bracket and just pop it up out of there. Put that to the side as well. Not going to need that. And then it's a pretty simple process of taking out the motherboard. Unscrew all the screws. And let's see, there's a screw up here. Alright, there's 2 out of however many. Okay, we can take another one. There's 3. There's another one right here. Let's see, 1 more, I think. Okay, so 1 more to go. Move this RAM clip. Okay, so there is 5 screws removed out of the motherboard, and I believe that's all there is. That motherboard should pop right out of there now. So we're just gonna, oh yeah, it comes right out. Look at that, guys. Right out just like that, and pow, we have this old Veil motherboard ready for whatever build, for retro or whatever. So let me put this, sorry, I just whacked it off the tripod. Put this in my motherboard box for now, just to get it out of the way if it doesn't get harmed any more than it is. So here is the 2-pin motherboard. It actually says reset switch, but it's going to be used as my power button. This computer's not going to have a reset switch on it, but it's going to do. The other thing is, guys, that motherboard has a 24-pin connection, but this is the only power supply I have that will actually physically reach the motherboard connection. I can try another one, I suppose, but I'm going to try it real quick and I'll let you guys know. Okay guys, so this is the only power supply I have that's going to reach the motherboard, so we are stuck using this old power supply. So hopefully we don't have an explosion when we turn it on, but it should be fine because this doesn't have a big GPU or anything or any good high-end processors. All we're going to be using is a Intel Core 2 Duo, which I have right here in my fancy CPU box. I believe this is it right here. Intel Pentium dual core right here. This is going to be our awesome processor we're putting in here. And by the way, that's sarcasm, guys. This is not an awesome build. It's no gaming build. Just a low-end, kind of like just like an office PC type thing. I don't know what I'll do with it, but we're just replacing the old thing that doesn't run and putting modern-day equipment inside. So our next thing to put on is actually probably installing the new HDDs and new disk drives after we untangle all these lovely Molex cables. Oh boy. Alright, so I'm actually going to That hurt. I just cut myself on the power supply. It didn't feel very pleasant. So we're just going to throw all these over the edge, over the case and case roof, like that. Sorry, I couldn't speak. So we're going to take the Mac Store hard drive that we have. Cameras need to focus. There we go. We're just going to... I take that back. We're not going to use this Mac Store hard drive because I broke it the other day and it don't work anymore. You can see there's no plastic piece around there. So give me 5 seconds. I'm going to grab another hard drive. So this hard drive is definitely going to be a big downgrade, guys. It's only an 80 gig spinning at 7200 RPM, but it's going to get the job done. And if I ever run out of room on it, I do have room for expansion for another drive. So the drive, as you saw when I took out the old one, goes just simply right there. Nothing special to it. But actually, now that I think about it, we have to put this in one of the last components because the motherboard will not fit with one of them. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put in the disk drive because that won't get in the way of the motherboard being installed. So let's see if we can, I think we have to do this from the front. So let's stand up the case, just like that. Actually, we're going to have to remove the front panel, ain't we? We need to remove the front panel. And then, sorry you guys can't quite see what I'm doing, I wasn't paying attention to the camera. This little bracket right here, that needs to be removed so that we can put on the disk drive. So I believe all we have to do is just poke it with something. Or use this little handle, matter of fact, actually. Common sense. Oh man, this thing is tough. You tell it's an old PC, guys, when it's made of steel. Not aluminum. Just like that. See, that comes off like that. Just wiggle it back and forth till the whole bracket piece comes off. Throw it on the floor. Hopefully I don't step on it. Then we need to pop out this front piece on the front panel. Thought it would come out easier than that. Let's see. So we're going to need a screwdriver. Just going to pop that out. And I'm going to pop that little clip out and poof, it's out. Throw that on the floor. So now we can install the disk drive, which I put in here. Just gonna, should slide right in. Just like that. Bam. Try to match it up with the other one. And then you need to throw a couple screws in it real quick. Just to be sure that it's going to stay in and not wiggle around as I move the computer. So, give me just 1 second. Okay, I need my magnetic screwdriver. Now that I lost that screw, that's not helpful. Okay, so we're going to use one of these. Okay, so let's see what we got here. I do believe we need to slide it back forward to put this screw in right here. Dang. Can't hold on to the screws today, guys. Okay, so you know what? I can't get it. I'm going to stop the camera and I'll figure it out and I'll turn back on when I figure it out. Okay guys, we're also going to remove one of these drive covers so that we can install the floppy drive. Let's see if I can get this out without shanking myself. Oh boy, this is tough. Might be using a flathead screwdriver might help. There we go. That just comes out like that. So now we're going to slide our floppy drive into its positioning right on the bottom. Or maybe we're not. I need to unscrew these screws. Just 1 second, guys. I gotta unscrew all these screws that are on the floppy drive. Two more. One more. Alright, now it should be able to go in. I got all four out. Now it should just, there we go. It slid right in, just like that. Except the only problem I'm seeing, I guess that'll work. Floppy drive can go in right there. That'll work. Okay, so now we need to put the screws back in so that it will stay on track. All right, so let's see here. Alright, so here's number 1 going in. Alright, I wonder if just one will hold it in there. Oh, you know what, guys? That ain't gonna work because these are the wrong types of screws for this old case. Alright, so then we have to do something different with this. Maybe we can need something that prevents it from slipping inward when we have. I'm going to figure something out real quick, guys, and then I'll be back on. Okay, guys, so we got the floppy drive installed. I also installed the hard drive at the same time because that was just as difficult to install. And it is a little bit while later now, so we have a redneck lighting system because it's dark out and the windows ain't throwing in any sunlight. So, anyway, back to the computer. I got the 80 gigabyte hard drive installed. Floppy drive is installed good enough to keep the retro look. So now what we need to do is we are going to put the motherboard in. I think that's actually we need to do. First, we're going to actually put the new I/O plate in. So we're just going to pound the back one out just like that. Toss it over there. Then we're going to try, hopefully this one fits, make sure it's the right direction, which it is. Flip it into place. These things are a pain to get in. So, I don't know if it fits in this case. Alright, so while I get that in, I'm going to stop the camera and I'll try to get this I/O backplate thing in. Okay guys, so we have the motherboard ready to be installed. We have the heatsink on because remember I mentioned in the video that the backplate is broken, so I had to screw them on individually. And now we are ready to be, move the camera over a little bit. Now it is ready to be installed in the case. Just to recap, this motherboard has a PCI 16 express lane, 4 DDR2 RAM slots, up to 16 gigabytes total, a 24-pin motherboard connector, 2 IDE connectors, disk drive and hard drive. Oh, actually, that's floppy drive, I take that back. Floppy drive and disk drive, 4 SATA connectors, 2 USB headers, and 2 case fan headers, and stock processor power, and of course a CPU fan header. On the back for I/O we have 6 USB 2.0 headers, Ethernet cable, 3 audio jacks, Firewire, VGA, DVI, and 2 PS2. So now we are going to install this motherboard into the case. Just like it's almost there. Come on. There we go. The motherboard is into the I/O plate. Now we get to screw in the screws. The fun part, yay. No, not really the fun part. Sarcasm. Alright, move you guys a little bit closer to the case. Alright, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So now we're going to fill in the screws that hold the motherboard down. Okay, so we're gonna, this is a little lengthy process, but I mean, you can't go without it, or else your motherboard would fall straight out and be broken. Alright, so screw number 3 going on up here. Alright, screw number 4 going in right here by the RAM. RAM slots, I should say. There's no RAM in it yet. Oh, squeaky screw. Okay. Screw number 5 is going to go right over here by the 3 audio jacks. Screw number 6 is going to go right below that previous number 5 screw. Right down here by the bottom bracket. And I think that's it. Oh, no, there's one more. Let me grab another screw out of my bucket. I don't know if I could get a hold of one. Let's see here. Right here, this one will work. Oops, I dropped it. Hold on, guys. Alright, so screw number 7 is going to go right down here by these two capacitors. Alright, the motherboard is secured down good enough for my standards. It's not going to fall out. It's not going to go anywhere. So now what we need to do is we are going to install the RAM. So I'm going to grab my 8 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM. I believe they're DDR2. Yes, DDR2 RAM. So, of course, you PC enthusiasts know that the RAM, the little split right there, needs to line up with the notch on the motherboard. If that does not line up, you will not be able to install the RAM, and if you force it in, that's a rookie mistake, and you will break your RAM, and it will no longer be operational. So we're going to put the Nano RAM in the black slots. Not that it really matters. It doesn't matter what slot you put RAM in, but I'm going to do it like that anyway. And the Crucial RAM in the blue lanes. And do all the clips. Alright, so there's that. And then the last 2 gigabyte card. So there we go, guys. That's how easy it is to install RAM. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 gigs of RAM now. And now we need to run the motherboard the power supply connections. So we have our 20-pin motherboard connector. Even though the board has a 24-pin, a 20-pin connection will still power a 24-pin motherboard. So we're going to plug that in. The only thing is it will be a little underpowered, which is not. It should not affect this PC too much because this is not a high-end first-class PC. So now what we need to do is we are going to hook in the hard drives once we get these cables untangled. There we go. We're going to hook in the hard drives, the disk drives, and the floppy drive. I said hard drives, but there's only one hard drive. So we're going to need a Molex to SATA connection, which is going to go on just like this. Make sure you line them up properly and do not force them into each other. It does take a little bit of force to put it in to connect the adapters. And now we just need to try to get. I think we're going to have to unhook the motherboard really quick, like that, so we can get down to the hard drive connection for power. Alright, so the hard drive is plugged in. So now what we're going to do with the other, I have 2 Molex adapters, Molex to SATA again. I'm going to plug it into the other Molex power connector on the same cord, if it will go together. Sometimes the pins are bent on the inside. You can see that the one on the right is bent a little. You just need to stick your finger or a screwdriver in there and just lightly prop it back into place, and then it should slide right in. I think you might have more of a, yeah, you can see the female connection right here is actually broken, so we are not going to be able to use that. We're going to use the other cable with the Molexes on it, and you can see, well, we have an interesting issue here, guys. This one does not want to connect to any of them. Okay, so let me try this one. There we go, connected to that one. Okay, so now we get to plug this one into the SATA hard drive, disk drive, excuse me. Let's see if we can get that down inside. Just like that, boom. And that's plugged in there. So now what we can do with these extra cables, actually this needs to run to the floppy drive, just so that the floppy drive will be operational. Alright, so that's plugged into that. What we can do with these extra cables, there's not really much we can do except tuck them down inside of here, just this little crevice right here, but actually we need a Molex connector for the upper disk drive. I'm just going to plug it in Takes quite a bit of force to put those in, but you won't break them. You will not break Molex adapters very easily. Alright, so this one here. The rest of these... Darn it, I think the hard drive came unplugged. That's not a good start. Alright, so we're plugging the hard drive back in. I'm going to stuff these cables up in here. Plug in the CPU, or processor, better known as. Alright, so the processor's plugged in, route that cable right back there like that. Now we can, I got a SATA cable right here. SATA cable for the disk drive we'll put in first. So let's see if we can get down to the connection on the disk drive. Just like that, plugged in, ready. Now you get to plug the, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, I'll zoom in. But you can see there's a little notch on the right here. That needs to line up with the notch on the motherboard. If you force a SATA connector into the motherboard, it will certainly break. I've broken more than one of these before, but it didn't break the motherboard, luckily. So let's see if we can get that installed. Well, this is becoming a bit more problematic than I expected. There we go. Alright, so now I need to grab another SATA cable for the hard drive. Give me one moment. Okay, so I just grabbed another SATA cable for the hard drive, same orange cable. Okay, so I want to hook this into the hard drive, just like that. Then we're going to route it to the motherboard, same as the disk drive. Same case, same cable, same connector. Alright, so those SATA cables are installed. Now we need to try to get this motherboard hooked back in. This might be a pain, so bear with me here. Oh wait, that worked a lot easier than I'd expected. Alright, so all these cables are just going to stay up there. And now I need to grab ribbon cables for the floppy drive or FDD and the disk drive. Alright, so I've got a ribbon cable here, and I need to find a floppy drive cable real quick. And here we go. Okay, so I have a standard disk drive ribbon cable and a floppy drive ribbon cable. We're going to hook up the we're going to hook up the floppy drive first. So there's a little notch right here, just like SATA cables. That needs to line up with the floppy drive, which is, it's pretty simple to install a floppy drive connection, just like that. And then we're going to have to try to do the same on the motherboard. This might not work like I'm thinking, because I'm not sure. I don't know if I can tuck this cable under and over and... Oh wait, there we go. I moved up the hard drive a little. I didn't plan for this ahead of time, guys. I just kind of threw this video together this morning just for a start. Okay, so we're going to plug it. It came out of the floppy drive, so we're going to plug it back in. So that's plugged in. Floppy drive is ready to run. Not that I'll be using the floppy drive, which I probably didn't really need to hook it up at all, but just for retro looks. And if anybody stumbles across the floppy drive, we have a connector for it. We have our disk for it. Just a drive for it, not a disk. Okay, so try to unplug the disk drive from the power again so we can get this connection ribbon cable. I hate these stupid things. Ribbon cable up to there, just like that. Hopefully this cable's long enough. And hopefully the IDE slots even work on this motherboard. I've never tested them before, so that could be an issue. Okay, problem being, guys, this ribbon cable is not long enough. The ribbon cable, I've never seen that problem before. It's not long enough. Probably should have done some better cable management than this mess, but there's no cable management in this case, so that doesn't help the problem any. not sure how I'm going to get this installed because it is not cooperating. This way, no. This build is turning out to be a lot more problems than I ever expected. Alright, so that's plugged in there with quite a bit of tension on there. We're just going to plug the disk drive back into power, and hopefully it doesn't overheat the RAM. RAM doesn't get that hot, but you never know. After the video is done, guys, I might take everything back apart, all the cables and such, and try to do some better management. But just for now, during the video, we're going to keep it like this. And now what we get to do is we're going to reinstall the fan. Actually, guys, we are almost done with this build. I'm going to reinstall the fan on the rear. Of course, we're going to blow it in because this PC is going to run very hot in this old case. So we're going to blow in and just force air out any micro holes there might be. And also, with putting all fans blowing in, you are going to force out any dust out of the crevices, theoretically. Okay, let me get this screw hooked up to the screwdriver. Alright, so we're going to install this fan. Yeah, guys, I think what I'm going to do after the video, when I'm done, I think I might disconnect all the cables again and redo the cable management system. It's pretty bad. But for now, it's going to do. Hopefully, we don't burn something up. That'd be really bad. Drop my screw. Okay, so here's screw number 2 going in on the case fan. I think we'll probably just leave 2 in there for now, and I'll put them in when I'm done the video. Yeah, that screw's not going to cooperate, so we're just going to leave the fan like that with 2 screws in, because I don't want to take any more time in the video. This is already a long video, guaranteed. Okay, guys, so the PC is practically done. There's really, I don't think there's anything left to do, but top secret, I did just have to take the whole thing back apart and then put the processor in, because as you guys are probably thinking, you're like, oh my god, you didn't put the processor in, you didn't put the processor in. So I put the processor in after I took out everything, disconnected all the cables, took out the motherboard again, put the processor in, put everything back together, and now we get to do the final touches. Well, I think a screw just fell out of my motherboard. Sure enough. Oh well. Now we get to put the front panel back on. Let me back out a little bit. We get to put the front panel back on, and then we get to put the side panel on. And we will be... One problem I see. This needs to go down here because I ended up putting the floppy drive on the top because that's where it would sit better. So let's do that real quick. Alright, so this needs to go on the bottom. Just like that. That was pretty simple. Alright, so now we're ready to put it on. Because we're just going to cover up the hard drive. The only thing we're not going to cover... Ooh, let's give this a little... Alright, now we can put it on. Because obviously we're going to leave both disk drives exposed. Alright, so it has its retro look back now, guys. The gateway is almost ready to run. Hopefully run. Okay, so... now we can put the side panel on. I think, guys, we're almost there. Where is the side panel? Over here. Yeah, right here. Alright, here's the side panel. Alright, so here's the side panel. Side panel just slides on. Boom, I think we're done. The PC is done. Alright, guys, so I know this thing is not the fanciest thing in the world, but we're going to make it work. We're going to try to run it real quick and see what happens. Okay, guys, so I have the computer rigged up and we are going to give it a first round test. So hopefully it turns on. Let me kick my monitor on. Alright, so are we ready? Everything's plugged in. We have a video cable. We have the speaker rigged in, the mice, the keyboard, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. And we have noises. It's a good start. Oh my god, it's working! It just came on. It's coming on. Oh, this hard drive does have Windows 10 on. I thought it was Windows 7. Alright guys, we're coming on. I think it's gonna work. Success guys, it's loaded to the home screen, meaning it should be good to go. You can see it has Steam, Spin Tires, American Truck, all some apps and games, but I don't think it will be running Spin Tires or American Truck Simulator on integrated graphics and no GPU and a dual core processor. But we can try and see if we can get on the internet, because I did hook up. Oh, you know what? I hooked up the Ethernet, but I'm not connected to the router, so that might be a problem. I'm gonna have to grab my phone. Just give me a second. Actually, my phone is up there, but I need to grab this cable, and we're going to do some USB tethering. So when I get that hooked up, I'll turn the camera back. Okay guys, so I've got the USB tethering set up. You can see the little cable right here. That's the USB tethering cable. And now we're just going to try to go on Google Chrome and see if we can load up something like YouTube. This will test it. We'll see if it runs good. Obviously it's not going to run great, but I might need to run something that cleans up the hard drive and such, but okay, look at that, it loaded Google Chrome. Now you guys can't quite see it on the screen because the let me turn on my eye auto. Alright, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on the screen. Alright, so there's a screen that's close enough, and let's see if we can load up YouTube. It's not the fastest in the world, but oh, actually it loaded YouTube pretty fast. But how it is on running videos, it's probably pretty sad. And I don't think I can run a video because I'll get caught for copyright, but it loaded up YouTube pretty fine, so it would make a good browsing computer or something, but it ain't gonna be no gaming PC, that's for sure. There's not really much we can do. Alright guys, so that finishes up for this video. There's going to be one more little segment after this, but I'm just going to say this was a very successful build. I did not expect this to be able to be this easy, but we have a retro look. Actually, let me zoom back out. We have a retro looking gateway that we just turned into a close to modern component PC. I'm getting a bunch of ads in the corner, it's driving me. And anyway, this is going to be the end of this video. Sorry this has been such a long video, but it is a PC build, so hope you guys enjoyed converting a retro PC into a more modern PC with Windows 10, of course. And that's going to do it. So until next time, this is the World of Technology. We'll see you next time. The Gateway 310S originally had 2 GB of DDR RAM, which I had actually upgraded from 1 GB, which was also upgraded before me by somebody else, from 512 MB of RAM. Anyway, it also had an Intel Pentium 4 processor, which is now an Intel Core 2 Duo processor. So, this gateway did come out to be pretty well. It now has 2 CD-ROM drives on the top, you can see there, with a new installed floppy drive. Also on the inside, the power supply stayed the same at 250 watts max, along with a new HDD, which originally was a, I believe, Western Digital 7200 RPM 80 GB hard drive, which is now mostly the same, just with a different interface for SATA. It was originally IDE, of course, for an old motherboard. It originally had the original Gateway motherboard until it crashed on me, and then I installed the Sony Vail board, which worked for about a month. And then now it has the new motherboard in it, which supports an LGA 1150 socket up to a Core i7 processor, but we have the low-end processor anyway. But the motherboard now also supports up to 16 GB of DDR2 RAM, which is pretty good for an older motherboard. Which Core i7 processors also Pretty good for an older motherboard too. Or it might be an i5 processor it supports up to, I'm not entirely sure. On the back, we originally had a serial port, which are very old. And you can see there that there now are no serial ports. There are 2 PS2 ports, VGA, DVI, 6 USB 2.0 ports, Firewire, Ethernet, and 3 audio jacks. And on the back you can also see there's a case fan. Well, there's no expansion cards, no GPUs, etc. But there used to be a modem card inside of in this thing. So the retro look definitely stayed the same. I'm loving the retro look. I've already fired it up, you guys saw. And Windows 10 runs excellent. No problems found so far. So this is the end of this Gateway 310S video. So hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you now in the next episode of maybe another retro build. Alright, so this is the world of technology. We'll see you next time.